Congratulations on the film, Maze. Absolutely loved it. I mean, it's an amazing film. For you both, though, like I heard, Tom, that you've said that one of the main reasons you took it on wasn't the whole it's a breakout of prison type movie based on true story, but that the relationship between both of your characters is it's nearly bigger than any story within it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's very cleverly pitched as a thriller, and it is. But at its heart is this relationship between my character, IRA volunteer, and Barry's character, prison warder, and our scenes. When I was reading it, they were the ones I always wanted to get back. When I was reading the script, the ones I always wanted to get back to was this story, because that's the human interest and the thriller aspect takes care of itself in terms of how it's shot and edited together and the pace, and which is exciting to shoot.
Yeah.
But I think for an actor, first and foremost, you want meaty scenes, and sometimes meaty duologues that are just two people sitting around having a conversation are the most exciting.
Yeah. And speaking of fast pace, I mean, this was done over 25 days. Is that correct? I thought I was seeing things when I read it. That's very fast for. So was it like non-stop to get you? Jenny, were you in this character the whole time then, or how did you do it?
No, there was plenty of downtime. I mean, it didn't feel rushed at all for us. It was a kind of it was a smooth operation. We had a really good team. It's certainly noticeably less hanging around than usual on a film set, but I never felt rushed at all.
Okay.
Yeah, and this dynamic and this relationship, it was so rich on the page that it was always constantly feeding you, and always there were always scenes to look. I was always looking forward to these scenes shooting.
Okay.
And to me, the whole thing was important, but this relationship was especially important.
And was it easier to get into the heads of the characters by being in a jail? Because you did this in Cork jail, decommissioned jail. So by being in an actual prison, obviously that's surely helped you get into the heads of your characters.
It does, it really informs your thought process, I think, and just the kind of temperature and the weight of everything, and those noises. I guess it means as an actor you don't need to rely on your imagination as much. You just work with what's around you, which is always really helpful.
Yeah, and it's called Maze, and the Maze was and still is this huge kind of symbol on this island for so many things, and having a real prison to shoot in gave us. We didn't have to endow chipboard as a prison. We had this working prison to exist in, and that was everything really.
And as well as an actor, as a person, did you kind of get what it was like, what it must have been like, I suppose, to be in that position that both your characters. Do you know what I mean? I know the different sides of the coin, but to be working in that situation or to be in a prison, did you get a feeling of how terrible it must have been? I suppose.
I mean, there were scenes where we had to be. They would say, you got to come out of your cell now, so you'd be waiting in the cell, and it's the opposite of method. It's not the opposite of method, but it's not especially method. Then you spend like 5 minutes in a cell as opposed to but even in those like few minutes, you go, you realise what incarceration must be like, and that you have to be in there at 7 o'clock. And in some of these IRA volunteers' cases, they were there on protest for years and never left for years, those cells. And trying to get your head around that is quite a challenge, but also an incredible thing, because they are people who make these very extreme choices, and that is an exciting avenue to go down for an actor. Okay,
and some of the most kind of important scenes in this movie is when you two are chatting and kind of you see the kind of friendship maybe bonding. That happens over tea a lot, right? Which I kind of felt was really, isn't it? Tea really can solve everything, isn't it?
Well, it's a good point you make, and someone made that point yesterday about tea, and I think it's really insightful that you've picked up on it, because I think, like we always talk about the comfort of tea, but there's a serious thing there where I think you go, conflict resolution. They do talk about how important food is and how important people sitting down at a table sharing food is. People sharing a cup of tea, the nurturing nature of a hot drink. There's something about that lens and intimacy that can mellow you and open up avenues. And although it's a kind of a jokey, flippant thing, but it isn't as well. There's something quite extraordinary about tea.
Well, you realise they're just people, I think. Do you know what I mean? You have tea with your mum, with your friends. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of on these two supposed to hate each other, I suppose, but yet having a cup of tea together. Yeah. That was really good. The research for this, did you how much in depth did you go? And I suppose, do you have much time? How long do you?
It felt like I had a few weeks leading up to the movie, and then you're constantly continuing that research during the shooting of it. I read a lot of books, as I usually do, and I tend to read stuff that informs me about events leading up to when the movie begins.
Okay.
So you know what these characters have just been through, and that kind of can give you an indication of where their thought process might be at before the credits roll.
Okay. Did you meet some escapees, did I hear?
Yes, and that was, again, incredibly helpful. But for me, the most, like Barry was saying, what's most important is to use the research as a jumping point, and so do as much research as you can, and then when you start to shoot, try and let that go, because there will be instances in the script where you have to not take dramatic license, but you also have to be pliable with dynamics and say, we need something here that isn't necessarily 100% truthful, not truthful, but accurate to an event, but to make the drama of the piece work, it's needed.
Yeah.
And so I think you work and you work and you work with your research, and then just let it go, and hopefully it's bedded in somewhere.
And is there any sort of responsibility left on your shoulders when you're doing something that's kind of based on a truth? Do you know what I mean? Is there any? Do you feel that when you're doing, or do you have to let go of that as well and go, I'm just doing this character?
Well, I think that's a good question, because it's like if you went to play Jesus Christ in a film, if you set about to take on board the weight of literature written on that subject, you just wouldn't get up out of bed. Perhaps was a man, like any man who has, and you've got to play the man.
Yeah.
And like this, you've got to let that responsibility go. And the responsibility comes in talking to you, I think, and talking to other journalists about the film, and having integrity, and that's where the responsibility comes, I think.
Okay, it's great to see Irish film, especially this quality, being made. And I heard loads of Cork locals got involved in this as well. Is that true? Like, so a lot of the people who are escaping from that prison were actually brought in from local.
Well, the guys who escaped from the prison were in the north.
Yeah, well,
The people we used to work there were from Cork. A lot of local crew and local cast who were really brilliant and supportive, and made our jobs a lot easier.
Well, a film like this kind of sinks or swims on its supporting cast and supporting artists, the background, the extras, those people. If they're not selling it, we could be delivering the performances of a lifetime, and if the guys in the back aren't truthful, then the whole film is sunk.
Yeah.
And the guys we had were incredible, the commitment, and I suppose, again, being in a prison, the sense of camaraderie that also lends itself to a cast and a company of actors, which is very real.
Yeah.
I have to ask, of course, about Nidge, right? Yeah, I have to set the question in there. He was a criminal. This is a criminal. What keeps What will make people keep casting you as criminals? Is my question. Do you think you've got a criminal look?
Past.
Well,
His past.
Past.
I mean, I don't think Larry Marley was a criminal, and I think, and I understand the point you're making.
Yeah.
And the point you make about me being cast in certain types of roles. I was saying this to my wife. I was like, what? I often get cast as kind of mad, like really kind of tough people.
Yeah.
One, I'm not tough at all, and two, it's fun to play in a way, and after a while, it's exhausting channeling negative energy.
Okay.
In a kind of slightly kind of zen way, negative energy sometimes. I mean, you got to do it, of course you do, but sometimes negative energy is you know. We're going to do a comedy together next, me and Barry.
Are you? Oh, you just made that.
Comedy musical.
No, we're pitching it to anyone who watches. Anyone who wants to make a comedy about
hoping
two.
You were going to tell us you were going to make it with us.
If you want, we'll do it. A comedy about two guys just knocking around Dublin.
Yeah.
Sounds brilliant to
It
me.
would be good, wouldn't it? La La Land for Dublin.
Very last, be killed if I don't ask.
Yeah.
You're going to be very different, I assume, in the Avengers movie.
Hopefully, So I mean, the thing about it is like you hope for varied parts, and we're both very lucky in our careers to have varied parts and also varied experiences. So the Avengers experience is a whole other experience and a whole other way of being creative. And it's an amazing experience. So we're lucky that we get to mix and match and do a film like Maze, and then go and do films that have other kinds of budgets, and
Absolutely. Well, listen, for now, congratulations on Maze. Thanks a million, Barry and Tom.
Thank you so
Brilliant.
much.
FM104, Dublin's hit music station.